hoping that little light holds on to this entire video. I had like 27% of battery life, but we'll see about that. I hope you really loved the beginning of that video or admired it. It wasn't me trying to just be all fancy because there was a reason why I made it, because that entire video was done on this little guy here. This is the DJI Osmo Nano, and this camera is just, I don't want to explain it, but this camera has been pretty good. It's actually almost perfect, and emphasis on the almost part, but I've been using this camera for quite a while for just behind the scenes for projects, for doing stuff of like, hey, this is how my workflow looks like if I'm doing like kind of the POV. I've been vlogging with this. I went to Japan and I use this most of the time, and I'm being serious. Like I have my vlogs and you can kind of see what quality wise it produces. I will say it was not being smart about a lot of my exposures, so it looks kind of funky for a few shots, but if I get better at, paying attention to my exposure, obviously they would look better. But yeah, I took this to Japan. I didn't take any other cameras. I left most of my stuff here. The only thing I took was my GFX 100 RF, as well as my Leica M81 and a few film cameras. But this guy was all my video stuff. This was everything. And this camera, again, I've already said it before, but this camera is just perfect. Almost perfect. This is kind of a camera review, so you can't do a camera review without specs. So here are the specs. You know what I'm saying? This is a 1 to 1.3 inch sensor, 13 stops of dynamic range. It can shoot 4K at 60 frames per second, but it also can shoot 4K at 120 for slow motion. It has a 200-minute battery life. Depending how you shoot, you can do horizontal or you can do vertical. So if you're a TikToker, a YouTube shorter, or Instagram reeler, you got your choices to film. And I think, and I'm gonna dive why I think this is a little bit better than your phone. Your aspect ratios are a 16:9 and then a 4:3. I shoot majority of the time with 4:3 because you're using a little bit more, you're using most of the sensor. So it's almost kind of like a open gate, and I don't want to really say that ever again because it's not really an open gate, but it kind of almost is. So if you shoot both horizontal or vertical, you can then adjust it to be either vice versa. So if you were shooting 4:3 horizontal, but you need something for vertical, you have the space to do it compared to doing 16:9. Also vice versa if you're shooting vertical, but you get my point. You can shoot ultra wide at 143 degree angle. Sorry. So obviously if you want to capture a little bit more, you have an option to do so. I do notice though, the more wider you get, the less the better the resolution looks. So it's just be wary of that, but still though, it still looks great. It has an electronic image stabilization. I've been trying to say those three words at the same time and it's been difficult, but anyways, you get that, you get an image stabilization. And depending what your aspect ratio you change to, I know by 16:9 you get 2 more options, but if you do a 4:3, you just get rock steady. But 16:9, you get 2 more options for more stabilization. Obviously, it crops down on your sensor and you lose a little bit of resolution, but hey, no shaky footage. You have an option to do super night mode. I have heard that's really good. I haven't tested myself, but in comparison to the Osmo Pocket 3, it is much better apparently, because it uses now like kind of like a slight algorithm to fill in the blanks or kind of fix the pixels in a sense. That's what I've been told. That's what I was scurrying around looking up to, because I haven't used it yet, and that's my bad. So, because I've been using it for other stuff. You get my point. It has a modular design, which I will dive into, because this modular design, you have 2 separate things. You have the camera here and the monitor here. This thing here is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Not really, but you get my point. And I'm gonna dive into the modular design because I've actually find it very useful for many reasons. It has fast charging. You can go to 0 to 80% in 20 minutes. I've seen that happen before when I was in Japan. This literally has been perfect. But I am gonna dive into fast charging and battery life a little bit later, so hold on to that. You can choose between a 64 gigabyte or 128 gigabyte. However, I will say it does take up about 21 gigabytes for software and firmware. So be worried about that, be cautious. So I would recommend the 128 because you get to have 107 gigabytes to actually film things. So if you're using the 64, you're getting about 43. And so you definitely would need a micro SD card, but for the 128, you'd be okay, but I will still have a micro SD card plugged in. And then for color, it does shoot in normal format, it's just kind of standard without having to do any color grading, but it does do it at a 10-bit. However, it also has a D-Log M at 10-bit as well. So you have the option to do kind of like a log flat profile to do your own color grading. So sick. This isn't really a spec, but I do want to kind of just point that out there, and it's kind of obvious. If you have the DJI mics, like I have one on right now, you can connect it to this because they are all on the same ecosystem. The audio on here is really great. I believe it has a really high bit rate. That's the specs. I wrote them down because I can't remember anything, but anyways, yes, those are the specs. That's what makes this camera really cool. So the first thing I want to kind of like jump on is the modular design. Now this thing here is really cool because again, like I said earlier, you can separate the two. You have your camera here, and then you have your base here, which has your monitor. Now, the video I made in the beginning, I had them two separate. So I had this on like my clamp, my magic arms, and all that stuff. And so this was here on whatever I had it mounted on, and I was using this pretty much like a monitor you would connect to your FX3 or whatever cinema camera you're using. Like I was able to see everything there. There was no connectivity issues. There was nothing interfering where like there was a lag. It was on, like everything was on time. Anytime I made a movement, this was showing on that. And I really love that because the shots I did where I had it in my fridge or I had to open the drawer or on the portafilter, I had this mounted, and then this guy here was showing me what am I seeing. And it's also really great, especially when it's like you're trying to do something where you're filming, like you have this mounted on your car. Obviously with the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, you're gonna just try your best to think it looks good. Or if you have it connected to your phone, you know, obviously you're gonna see it, but obviously you can't touch your phone if you live in certain states because it's illegal to have the phone in your hand and drive. But this year, and I've done it before, and I really should have showed a video, but I've had this mounted on my truck, and as I'm driving, I had this in with me on top of my dash, and so I was able to still see majority of what I was filming without having to second guess myself or have a moment where I'm like, oh wait, did I film that? Did that look good? So that's really cool. And honestly, it's been my favorite part. It almost feels like I have a miniature, like a little cinema camera when I have these two separate. So like I'm like, oh cool, you know, like look at my little monitor, I'm a director. So it's kind of cool. Again, also you can rotate these modular devices. So if you're filming yourself or vlogging, you have that choice to kind of see what you're filming. As well, again, you flip it the other way, you can kind of see what you're filming in front of you and adjust your not your ratio, adjust your spacing in a sense. But that's really kind of the coolest part of this camera, and I don't get tired of this. Another cool thing about this camera is that I think if you're starting to get into like making videos around your home, or you kind of want to like document a lot of things in your life, whether it's traveling, monumental moments, milestones in your life, this I would feel like is the perfect device for anyone who wants to start if they didn't want to dive into getting like an action camera or a DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Or even getting a cinema camera like I have, or a camera particularly, you know, like the big bad boys. This guy here is super cool because, again, it has internal memory that you don't have to worry about getting an SD card, but I highly recommend it. But when you do buy this guy, you get really cool accessories. You get this hat clip that has the little magnet attachment that you can put on there. You get a little necklace, little thing you can wrap around yourself. You also get this really cool suction cup, and you can, if I twist this, I can twist it. Oh, there we go. No, that's not doing it. Never mind. But you can adjust the top part, and then you can mount this on a window, mirror, whatever, to film whatever you want. And then I know a lot of companies, a lot of third-party companies like K&F, Newer. There's another company that they do make other accessories. Like I have this guy here. This is so I can attach it to another 1/4-inch mount, like my magic arms. So then, or another magic arm. So I can then attach it to a clamp, or I have a bigger, more safetier suction cup that I put on my car. So because I don't think this guy will do as much. So they are selling third-party accessories, but you already get 3 accessories when you buy this guy. I do wish they had the head mount. I know you can buy that separately, but you have that option. So that's really cool in my personal opinion. A lot of companies don't do that, where they give you a lot of accessories right off the bat, and I think DJI does a really good job at that. That they're just like, hey, we don't want you to constantly buy other stuff. We want you to have everything in one tiny package. Now, I said about phone and this versus a phone. So here's the thing. Before having this, I would shoot most of my reels or my YouTube shorts on my phone. I would sometimes use my FX3, but sometimes that's just a hassle of setting it up, setting the settings right, record it, blah, blah, blah. So I would sometimes use my phone. However, the big problems I face with my phone is, one, storage space, obviously. I mean, I'm running out of space on my iCloud, and I don't want to pay for more. And obviously, I don't want to run out of space on my phone because I'm a picture person and I like to take photos everywhere I go, and all of my friends. Sorry, it was like a weird show off. Anyways, but the thing is that the storage space is one of them, and then as well as distractions. I've had moments where I'm filming myself. I'm in the flow. Things are going great. And then I'm getting text messages, getting notifications from Instagram or from Amazon or DoorDash deliveries. Like, there's too many things that would cause me to be like, huh? What's going on? Who's sending me stuff right now? And then I would lose my flow. And I'm just like, I would feel bad because then the next thing I know, when I'm trying to redo the video, like re-record it, I know the flow is gone. And same thing again, I've had moments where I'm recording myself and then I'm getting a phone call. And obviously, as I'm recording, it displays on my phone, and I'm starting to think to myself, like, okay, is this an important phone call? Should I answer it? Should I not answer it? So then again, I'm losing my full flow. And this guy here does not do any of that. Again, it is this just by itself, 128 gigabytes. I have micro SD cards that I can just transfer the files to. And this here is just no distractions. I just mounted like that. Obviously, again, because now I have a monitor that I can look at myself in. I just mount it, frame myself, and then go ahead and film it. No distractions, not worrying about space. So if you're somebody who does a lot of Instagram reels or TikToks or YouTube shorts or whatever that requires you to be a 16:9 and you need to film 30 seconds distractions free, this is your guy. I recommend buying it. Now, you can't have a good, almost perfect camera, emphasis on the almost part, but having a few things that are kind of annoying about it. First things first, I love the fact that you get internal memory, but you can't have an option where you're like, hey, write the SD card first, not the internal. You can't do that. You have to do the internal and then transfer everything over, which is kind of annoying, but also it's not tedious. So that's why I'm kind of like, whatever. And then the other option is the battery life. Obviously, this thing together, when it's on the base, it's 200 minutes. When they're separate from each other, the batteries die quickly. I think this one is like 75 minutes, and I think this one's 90, which is still not bad. But again, it's kind of annoying when you're like, look at the thing and you're like, oh my god, I have to like charge it soon. And I brought a battery pack when I was in Japan, and I was charging it while I wasn't using it, but it was just still kind of annoying that I had to charge almost every hour if I was constantly using it. Granted, it does have fast charging, and that thing is stupid fast. When I charged this morning, I think I had 20% and literally got to 100 within maybe 10 minutes. So it was not bad, but still, it's kind of slightly annoying that you have to be cautious of your battery and charge it and what's so forth. So those are the only two things that kind of really got me to be like, I hate it. But other than that, nothing can be perfect. That's why I said this camera is almost perfect. Now, the big question is, of course, if you're watching this and you made it this far, you're asking yourself, okay, so who's this really for? And I've hinted that already, and I'm gonna kind of dive into a little bit more about it. I think this is for really anyone. This is for anyone who's just starting in the industry of cameras, or they wanna make content, document their life for social media or just for themselves. This is for the intermediates who are like, oh, I really want to show my growth in becoming who I am as a person. No, I'm just kidding. This is for the intermediate people who are in photography or videography to show how their style and how they film themselves or how they film projects, kind of get a really good BTS. Same thing if you're a pro. I feel like this is really good device to have to kind of just show your workflow, because I know if you're doing this for you're doing photography, videography, as a profession, it's your whole main enchilada in life. I think this is a little cool device to have, mounted on your camera or have it in the corner, because you can do really cool, interesting shots with this and I'll get into that part as well, where you can like film yourself on the job and showing like hey, like this is what I'm gonna do. Again, when I said about filming yourself in different angles, I think this is also gonna help everyone when it comes down to creativity, looking things at a different angle or filming things at a different angle, and kind of really make you think like, okay, like I have this tiny little device, where can I put it and kind of like create some story out of it, you know? I've used this for B-roll before, where if I don't want to pull out my FX3, I'm using this. Sometimes we'll tuck it in the little corner if I'm doing like a walking by shot, or if I want to kind of get something a little bit like I'm just like a member of society kind of POV. This guy has been super, super helpful, because again, if I'm in public spaces, I know people kind of, not glare, but they kind of get a little worried if I'm bringing out my entire FX3. I know there's people on the internet who are like, don't be nervous, be cringe. But I also, at the same time, I want to be respectful of the people surrounding me. I don't care about myself. I care about the others. You know, if they feel uncomfortable with a giant FX3 swailing around in the air, this little guy is going to make it a little bit easier, and it's going to put them at ease. So again, yeah, this camera is almost perfect. Of course, aside from the battery life and the file transferring, this thing offers so much, whether you are getting into the industry or you want to be a content creator and you need something to film that isn't your phone. This guy has been just perfect throughout everything. And honestly, like, I think I'm going to use this if I'm filming another device and I want to kind of like a top-down shot without having a need for an extra camera. This thing here has just been making life a little bit easier for me. It also allows me to be like weirdly creative, and I'm like, okay, like how can I film this thing instead of doing it the normal way where it shows me grabbing, like when I was grabbing the straw, instead of like filming a down shot of me grabbing the straw, I filmed it of, you know, the POV of the straw, you know, or me grabbing the oat milk out of my fridge, like I did a POV shot. And at the same time, like I'm not trying to like move everything to fit my FX3 in there. I just had to shift this off to the side or attach it to something, and literally made it perfect. Especially the portafilter scene. Normally you would mount maybe a camera on there and it would be a little bit heavier, but this guy with its lightweight, I was able just to right on there, and perfect shot. Everything was leveled. It looked really cool. And like I said, this has just been a helpful tool. I see this as a tool for me, rather than like something I'm like kind of just carrying around, like how I use my phone. Like this is just a device to capture things. This is a tool for my projects. And for those who are starting out, this might be a tool for you. So I would recommend it. It's a great camera. If they made another version of this, but unfortunately we probably wouldn't get it because of the DJI ban, but if they did make another version of this and it was available in the United States, I'd buy it. Obviously there are competitors like the Insta360 version. I think they have two versions. Like one's like a very like meh one, or I guess I don't want to say meh, but it's like it has good specs, and then they have like a pro or like an ultra one that's kind of the same concept but like better than the standard one. But yeah, this is a really good camera. Oh, I also forgot to mention that this is actually pretty good water resistance. I think it said you can do 32 feet with this guy here, just this little part. And then this has an IPX of 4. So it can, like, you know, it can get slightly wet by sweat and all that stuff. But this guy is a little bit more tougher. So you have somewhat an extra camera, but not really, but kind of. So if you're driving and you're like filming the rain, or you're driving in the snow and you have this attached on your truck because you want to film you driving in the snow, you don't have to worry about this guy getting dirty. Particularly this guy, not this guy. You got to be cautious of this one, but this one, yes. Which beats the beats the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, because that guy is the sensitive guy. So you got to be careful with it. So anyways. Like and subscribe. Comment down below if you have this camera and if you use it, and or if you had it and then you sold it because you didn't like it. Because I want to know what made you kind of be like, not for me. Anyways, yeah, like and subscribe. Comment down below, and hopefully this was a helpful video for you. I kind of made this on the whim because lately I haven't been planning anything. So anyways, I'm saying anyways too many times. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.